Uncovering Anomalies podcast, episode 72 on May the 19th. We are flying through this year.
Yeah, we are. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. 2020. And well, because the beginning of the year was really hectic. And only now just kind of calmed down. Right?
Yeah.
But every week there was something just insane happening.
Oh, yeah. For me, especially, too. In and out of the hospital, rehab, DUIs, court. It was a really stressful first quarter of the year.
Well, okay, we all need a break then. Yeah, especially what's happening with our empire and overseas, and like it just doesn't stop. There's always something happening.
Yeah, no kidding. And there has been a lot of stuff happening in the UFO and conspiracy fields. And of course, it is an election year, and so of course the shit flinging. I mean, it started a while ago, but it's in full force right now as the election is coming up.
Yeah, and these protests just don't end. Like there was one nearby here that they had. I was like, what? I didn't even know they had because usually, the population is usually more Asian in that school, But I'm sure there's a few. But still, I was surprised. There was helicopters everywhere. Like,
oh yeah,
like easy nuts. There, man. They're just protesters. Like, calm down.
Well, they barricaded one of the lecture halls or something like that, is what I heard.
Okay.
And then the police called in. They said there was violence happening, but that's unconfirmed. So I mean, there was a lot. It was a big deal, and it's happening all over the country, but especially where we're located.
It's nuts. I mean, it just feels like 2020 all over again. It's not as bad. Like the BLM riots were pretty bad.
Yeah.
But these are kind of the same thing where it's just a distraction and it's left versus right, which is complete BS.
It should be up versus down. The down us realize that the up control us. It's and the left and right are both up and not us.
Yeah, they're just dividing the masses and having fun watching us fight amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm. As they always do, because that's how they keep control. They keep us fighting each other.
Yeah, that's Machiavellian, right? Machiavellian. I mean, he advised Mussolini to do that. There is a risk, though. The risk is when people find out there's a third party doing it, those two unite against the third party, and there might be something happening like that, which is why Congress is acting this way. And just, I guess we'll talk about some of them. But they're squirming. Something's up. It's really weird just how overt the agenda is.
Yeah, and it's turning into just a complete clown show at Congress. I mean, I'm sure you saw the stuff the other day with
fighting.
Yeah, talking about eyelashes and insulting each other, and it's just like, oh my god.
I mean, okay, so you take it off the record. It's on the internet already, all recorded. It's shared everywhere because that's what AOC was saying, right? That she wanted to take it off the record, whatever Green said.
So I saw a really interesting opinion of this online, and they said, yeah, it's a clown show, but I'd rather them be acting like this than joining together and doing shitty things to the people. And
which is what they do anyway. Well, at least
well, that's an interesting take.
I mean, they vote for war together.
That is I Want to Know, Adam.
I want to know, not believe. No.
And I am Topher, now in 3D, all three dimensions.
I like that. Do you have to wear glasses for it?
Yeah. Yep.
You do?
I've got my red and blue glasses on. I'm the psychiatrist from Twin Peaks.
How far have you gotten at that?
Finish season 2 after this. Once I'm done with my laundry, and probably as I'm folding it, I'm gonna watch the movie Firewalk with me.
Nice. And then you can go to 3.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I'm loving the show. Yeah. It is very, very 90s melodramatic, though. Holy shit.
But the lodge stuff is amazing,
but
right?
The payoff where you actually get to like the Dark Lodge, or the Black Lodge. I mean, all that stuff, the payoff is so much worth the wait.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
It's so cool. I absolutely love it.
Well, season 3 is even more bizarre.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
You're gonna just blow your mind.
I've been binging the show the last couple of weeks, but
that's so cool, man.
Let's get into it. Let's start talking about the stuff that we normally talk about on the show.
Yeah. So we left off the show. How come this is not shown? But Dublin to New York City portal is being blocked right now.
It was a very
Uh,
interesting, cool art piece where people from, I mean, these quote unquote portals are all over the world at this point. Basically, it's
yeah,
a two-way camera, so you can look into the portal and you see someone in another city on the other side of the planet. And last week we talked about the portal had opened up between Dublin and New York City.
right.
And just a week later, not even a week later, it was shut down due to quote unquote inappropriate behavior.
Of course. And is it the American side doing the inappropriate behavior?
Well, here's the thing: New York City and Dublin are like what's the 12? It's like a 12-hour time difference, right? And so
Oh,
one side you've
yeah,
got
10
drunk
hours.
people wandering around at night, and then on the other side,
Oh,
12 hours later, you've got drunk people wandering around at night. And then on the other side, at each time, it's daytime, in the middle of the day. So it's not a recipe that's going to end well.
yeah.
And it
I
clearly
saw
didn't.
one where a chick on the New York side was like flashing her boobs.
Yeah, and promoting her own OnlyFans, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is that what? Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it's sad state
Typical,
of affairs, but
typical.
anyway, we can't. This is why we can't have nice things.
Man, that sucks because we were saying that's such a good thing. It brings unity, and then degeneracy had to ruin it.
Yep. Man, this website is really screwed up, huh?
Yeah, it could be because I'm blocking also things.
That's
I
probably what
block
it is.
ads. Yeah,
Good. Good. This one
it's
was
the
really
same
cool.
thing though. Oh no, I can press play. Yeah, so this is a meteorite that crossed the skies of Spain and Portugal, but this is not a far away one. This happened right over them.
Yeah. Pretty low in the atmosphere.
So let's see here. Whoa.
I've seen a couple different videos of this, and yeah, I mean, it's there's nothing. Oh man, it's just such a cool sight to see.
It is. I mean, I've seen these before, but never that close.
There was that one in
Very
Russia
cool.
like a decade back that was really funny. That was a dash cam video, and
Oh yeah.
that meteorite comes flying in, and you just see the driver. He just keeps driving, just pulls his shade down so he can
Oh,
see.
that's all he does.
Yeah,
All right. Enough of that. But yeah, and meteorites always end up being green or yellow.
yeah. It has to do with the metal and the type of rock that's in the meteorite. They burn
Makes
differently.
sense. All
Look
right.
at
So of
that.
course, this was deleted. The good news is I actually took screenshots.
Good. I was gonna say I read through the whole thing and was like, "Wow, this is super cool." And I was like, "I bet this is gone in like a day." Sure
It's
enough,
gone. Yeah.
gone.
Even the person, he deleted his account. So I think he's called Hosier Fan or something. We click on it. Here he is. It's this guy right here. We click on it and it says that
Hoosier,
account has been deleted. Sorry, nobody
yeah,
on Reddit goes by that name.
banned.
That's crazy. I mean, what would be the reason? That he's a liar?
No, you can lie on Reddit all the time. People do it constantly. You can't tell the truth on Reddit.
I mean,
Um,
so all right. So basically, for our listeners, this guy came out 6 days ago. It looks like, and it's kind of like the 4chan leak, right? He works in an SAP project or several of them, and he just came out and just did a dump of his experience with NHIs, reverse engineering. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to read, but maybe just a little bit of it.
yeah. Do
Um,
you have any choice
so
quotes by any chance?
yeah, I tried to find online too on Twitter. I couldn't find people taking quotes.
To try like
Um,
the archive or the Wayback Machine or whatever it's called. I bet we could find
oh
it there if
yeah,
we
I wonder
dug
if it's
far enough.
on that.
But if you've got screenshots, that's good enough. But it was a very interesting info dump, and it basically, I don't think there's anything that wasn't suspected or anything outstanding that was thought of
Yeah,
as
he was basically
unknown.
saying, basically saying that Grush is, pretty much on the money when it comes to what he said. He said crash retrieval guys sit around, don't do much until something happens, which is not very often, and then they go out. Um, what else? The agency goes out of its way to hire individuals who have little interest in working. Oh yeah, the BYU thing. So the recruits, particularly out of BYU, Brigham Young University. So Mormons again.
The
I don't.
memos.
Yeah, the government always goes after Mormons. I mean, when I was working overseas, anywhere overseas, always at the embassies, there were mostly Mormons working there.
Interesting.
So
I guess
yeah,
if
this
you've got a pool of people who aren't supposed to be drinking or doing drugs or
Oh
partying, and
yeah,
they're well
that's a good
behaved,
point.
that's
Yeah,
someone you could rely on. I mean, I grew up with Mormons. I knew plenty of them that
yeah, me
did all the
too.
things that you weren't supposed to do, but I also
Right.
knew plenty of Mormons who were by the book, did not
They
do
wouldn't
any.
even drink cola, right? Because
Yeah,
that's caffeine in there.
can't drink coffee, can't drink soda pop.
Soda
So
pop, exactly.
there, there's there was plenty of both.
So they recruit particularly out of BYU, although you have to have a contractor or government career for around a decade to be considered for an interview. Published papers don't hurt. When I worked at the second facility, the sorts of people that were there were frustrating to interact with because my initial reaction to working in that facility was extreme excitement and it wasn't shared. I believe this is partially responsible for the stagnation, high turnover rate, and compartmentalization. I quickly learned who to trust and gained some enormous uh, that helped my work. Part of why I'm being secretive about my ID is because the turnover rate results in a sort of summer camp work environment. Anyway, like you said, he didn't say anything new, um, but it was
Really
still
just
great to read.
yeah, great to read, and basically just confirmed everything that Grush and the UFO community has been talking about the last year or so.
Yeah, and he even there was some people who. So if he deletes his account, even if his replies will be gone too. Here,
No, they're still there. You're looking at them, but
no,
some
like
of
his replies.
his replies, yes.
Uh,
I think that one. No, that might have just been deleted by the user. I don't know.
this is the
Anyway,
4chan whistleblower. Well, a lot of people are saying like he doesn't say anything new compared to the 4chan whistleblower.
yeah, but I mean, still, it sounds like we have. I mean, we need more people like this to come out and confirm the story.
Right, exactly. So if his account's deleted, it means he deleted it. No.
No, it said the account was banned. If you go back to his profile,
Oh, that's right. It said banned. Man, that is so messed up how they just do that.
yeah, tell me about it.
So, a senator from Chile revealed for the first time he was abducted by aliens. Senator Kareem Bianchi from Antarctic region of Chile told what happened with him in 2012.
I was on my way from Anomalies to Punta Arenas. A large rotating flight, a saucer approaches me. My vehicle turned off. I was talking on the phone with someone. Everything went off. And
Huh.
then I appeared about 200 kilometers ahead. And then I started to see owls everywhere. Very common. The
Why
owls are
the
not what they
owls?
seem. that was a, that was a, never mind. Okay. A person came and gave me an owl. Owls are very common in UFO abductions, folks.
They are, yeah.
And the events didn't stop there. An old bald guy came to my office and brought me
Hmm.
some papers, and he told me, Men in Black, you have to spread the message. And he brought me some papers that were secret from NASA. He brought them here, or he brought them there. And he told me that he was a person of another planet and that since I had been abducted, he brought me those documents that I still have.
And there he is, and it's in CNN. It's on CNN Chile.
Yeah, obviously this was translated. That's why it's a little clunky to read. The owls
Yeah,
thing I find very interesting. Yeah,
very interesting detail. Yeah,
people
link.
who have had abduction experiences often talk about owls, and the common belief is that that's the image that the aliens place in your brain so you forget what you actually saw.
Oh yeah, so it's like a trigger.
Mm-hmm. They also play a very prominent role in what's it called? The show we were just talking about at the beginning. Uh,
Oh
Twin
yes, of
Peaks.
course.
Twin
Yeah, but
Peaks.
that's because Native American. I mean, there's a lot of Native American stuff in
Yeah.
there. So yeah, and Native American culture, the owls represent death, right?
Is it wisdom or death, or is it both? I don't know.
I think wisdom's in general, but I think for Native Americans, oh, could it be both? It might be.
I'm not positive.
Oh, and then you sent me this: a missing policeman found in shock and claims he was abducted by aliens, but this time it's in Argentina. So another
This
South
mysterious
American.
story happened in Argentina, near the
Yes,
city of
Argentina.
General Pico in March 2006, with 31-year-old policeman Luis Sergio Pochetta
Pucheta.
with the rank of corporal. And there's a
Uh,
whole, I think there's a video there, but we don't have to play it.
is
Oh,
that him?
it leads to an article. But yeah, actually, yeah, if you could open up that article, because if I remember correctly, he was found he was missing for days and was found miles away. And it didn't appear that he had been starved and he didn't know where he had been. Also very common with alien abductions. They tend to, like Fire in the Sky guy. When he got abducted, he was gone
Yeah,
for 6
that's what it
days,
reminded me of too.
and when he came back, he had been taken care of. He wasn't dehydrated or starving or anything.
So he observed a strange glow in the woods, initially thinking it might be poachers. Stopping the vehicle, he removed his helmet and got off the motorcycle. He walked around but couldn't see or hear anything until a few minutes later, as he was about to get back on his motorcycle, two strange red lights appeared, immediately dazzling and paralyzing him. The lights were about 50 meters away.
Also very similar to the Mothman, oddly enough.
Yeah, huh? It's like these lights do something where they paralyze us, like it's
Mhm,
some frequency.
mhm. He was 31 years old, physically fit and experienced. Situation surprised him. He didn't have time to draw his weapon or react. He could only move his hands. A strange tingling sensation ran throughout his body. A few seconds later, he found himself disarming his radio, pistol, and cell phone. He doesn't remember when or why he did this. Desperate, he
Hmm.
called Marcelo Villegas, the one he was replacing on patrol, and said, "Come to Las Cañas. You know what's happening." Then disconnected. Ooh,
You know what's happening. Look at that. That's all his electronics. So he broke them.
I think he just took him off his belt.
It's a
They found
cane
his
field.
found his motorcycle 800 meters away, and all of his equipment was scattered around. Everything was there except for him. It seems like he'd vanished.
Whoa.
They walked cross country looking for his footprints. They couldn't find anything. Pucheta later said he felt as if something had grabbed and pulled him upward. Entire police force, led by its chief, was searching for the Oscar, who disappeared under strange circumstances. Keep going. Let me see. It rained next day.
Storm,
Okay.
of course.
The next day, around 4 p.m., in a place known as El Triangulo, Pucheta
The
appeared.
triangle.
Triangle, right. He appeared about 30 kilometers from where he was last seen. The landowner,
30 kilometers?
Luis Alberto Barbero, found him sitting by the dirt road, dressed as when he appeared, with his face hidden between his arms. The rancher tried to communicate, but Pucheta did not respond or utter a word. Ambulance, everyone arrived a few minutes later. Pucheta mentioned something in his head telling him, "If you stay here, we'll come back for you." I wonder if that's a threat or like, "Hey, we'll come pick you up, buddy."
There he is. Yeah, like, don't worry about it.
He broke into tears, hugged his superior officer. I mean, this guy was totally in shock.
Oh, man.
30 kilometers away. Wow.
Medical
Wow.
center. Burns on his feet.
Yeah, I was just going to say, upon reaching the medical center, they detected burns on his feet with blisters and small dots in between, lasting for some time. Very common in alien abduction scenarios. Cheta insisted on being taken to a dark room because light around him caused him intense pain. This photosensitivity or photophobia lasted for a while. That's pretty vague, but very interesting. I haven't heard that before. The Pucheta had previously always been distinguished by impeccable behavior and did not have any mental problems, as that always seems to be the go-to excuse.
Yeah, important thing to say.
It was revealed that a few days before his disappearance, he reported seeing strange lights in the sky in the same area. Wow.
So Pucheta eventually came to the conclusion that the aliens he saw had abducted him, and while in captivity, he had suffered some kind of terrible traumatic experience that affected his psyche, but which he could never remember. Well, yeah, being abducted is traumatic.
He did remember something. I felt like I was inside my mother's belly, and then I started remembering things from my childhood. It was like it was my life in slow motion. I don't know how.
Why does that come up also? Like it's like has something to do with like the spirit world and death and.
Oh yeah, here we go. During the investigation, many strange things were discovered. One was that all these 18 hours while they were looking for him, Pucheta did not eat or drink anything. This was discovered at the hospital. But for some reason, his body did not show signs of dehydration. Another strange thing was the rain. When Pucheta was found, his clothes were completely dry and not even dirty.
Oh,
it had
come
rained heavily
on.
in the area 2 hours earlier. Yeah, I think I skipped over that early in the article because they were saying when they were looking for him, it was raining super heavily. But when they found him, completely dry and not dirty, like he'd just been in the rain.
Dude, so it has to be like some kind of time travel thing or time dilation or whatever these craft do. Yeah.
Interdimensional. He assumed that he was contacted by two beings of short stature with red eyes who gave him orders very similar to the Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah, who gave him orders without addressing him. He indicated that he tried to flee from the strangers, but could not explain how he arrived at the place where he was found. They were small with red eyes.
Yeah, just like Virginia.
Creepy.
Very. So this is Argentina too, huh?
Yeah. Was this Argentina? Was it Argentina? I can't remember.
Wait. The police officer's Argentina. Yeah. This is Argentina. Okay. The senator was Chile. So a lot of stuff happening in South. Don't miss the big stories. Follow us on Telegram. All right, cool. That was in 2006.
Yeah. And actually, if you scroll up just a little bit, they say they discontinued. Subsequently, an investigation dismissal from service followed. So they fired him. He was retired compulsorily. He was forcibly retired because he couldn't return to work due to the trauma from the experience. Wow.
That sucks, man. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, UFOs and aliens, they ruin your life. They absolutely ruin your life, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you people just wondering if why me kind of thing, when it probably was just random.
And it's why people often don't come forward with their stories, because they see what happens to the people around them when they come forward and say, this happened to me. They get fired. They lose their job. They lose their families. Everything.
Yep, exactly. Everyone ostracizes them, and it's never worth it. They all say like, man, I wish I never came forward.
Yeah.
Well, and on that note, the Vatican, and you sent me this, but they had this stream on Friday. So Vatican preparing guidelines for apparitions, other supernatural phenomena.
Yeah, I never did end up watching the live stream or see any news come out about this. What did he talk about? Do you know?
There was News Nation covered it, and it was all in Italian, so I couldn't understand. But they might have something here. Let's
speaking out on reported mysteries and miracles, releasing updated guidance for the first time in nearly 50 years on how to discern supernatural phenomena and apparitions. You'll remember last summer, whistleblower and Air Force veteran David Grush exclusively told News Nation he believes the Vatican is part of a 90-year cover-up of alien existence after a UAP was allegedly found in Italy.
1933 was the first recovery in Europe, in Magenta, Italy. Italian government moved it to a secure air base in Italy for the rest of kind of the fascist regime until 1944, 1945. And, the Pope Pius XII back-channeled that.
You're saying that the Catholic Church, the Vatican, they know about the existence of non-human intelligence on this planet?
Certainly.
Well, News Nation's Joe Khalil is live in Washington. Joe, did the Vatican speak on UAPs specifically at all?
No.
They did not today. What happened today, what we got was actually just a laying out of new guidelines from the Vatican as to how they vet and review what they're calling supernatural phenomena. These are religious things. So they get reports from all over the world all the time about appearances or apparitions from religious figures.
Yeah, in case you see like Mother Mary or Jesus, or I guess if you get possessed, right, that kind of thing. So they probably give guidelines to tell people, all right, these people are lying and these people are not.
Right.
Because there's always kooks in any of these things, especially when it comes to ghosts and being possessed. You know what I mean? People just love
of course,
attention, dude. So it turns out nothing about, or specifically about UFOs, although we know from the research is that there is a link. It's related somehow, the ghost phenomena with UFOs. Not always, but there is something there.
Yeah. I mean, this is the theory. I've brought it up a ton now. It's just the interdimensional stuff and how people perceive reality. It screws with your head. So some people see UFOs, some people see ghosts, some people see Sasquatch. I mean, it just depends on what your mental aptitude is. Not aptitude, that's the wrong word. Mental orientation, I should say.
At the time, exactly. And they're from another realm. Many philosophers and spiritual leaders have said that humans are half that realm and half this realm. So there's a connection with us humans and that other realm. So they need us just as much as we need them, kind of thing. to interact with this 3D world.
Right.
So interesting. I mean, all right, and then also this came out. This video. Can you say his name? Merrick von
Rennenkampf.
Yes, German dude. He's great, actually. He writes for News Nation opinion pieces. He's got great contacts in the United States government. He's the one that went and called that company that Aerosted uses for backyard lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the one he goes and calls and makes sure, if this stuff is right on the money or not. So
Gotcha.
he's on here, and basically Schumer now is reintroducing a new bill, and he's out there saying that we have recovered saucers and a reverse engineering program.
Show us.
Just show it.
Does the U.S. government have an ultra-secret UFO program? Well, some high-ranking lawmakers believe that they do, including the top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, who says multiple credible sources claim the U.S. government has illegally withheld UFO-related information from Congress. Joining me now, former State Department analyst Merrick von Rennenkampf, an opinion contributor for thehill.com. It's not fair that I have to do German first thing in the morning there, Merrick. You got me there. You wrote an op-ed titled, Top Senators Believe the U.S. Secretly Recovered UFOs. Talk to us about that. Senator Schumer, along with several other lawmakers, want to reintroduce legislation that would force the government to release information they have obtained regarding reverse engineering UFO programs. What kind of impact would that legislation have if it actually passed, and how would that impact the average American?
Well, good morning, Nick, and A+ on the name pronunciation in the morning. So thanks for having me. And no, it's an intriguing question. And at the end of the day, when we see the Senate Majority Leader, and this is two successive Democratic Senate Majority Leaders now, Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer now, if you read between the lines, are alleging that the government has these very secretive, unreported, technically illegal UFO retrieval and reverse engineering programs. And that's astounding. And it's not just them. It is some of the biggest names in Senate, recent Senate history have been intimately involved in this effort to learn more, to uncover more. And look, I think if this legislation passes, it was introduced about a year ago and did not pass because of some opposition from a key House lawmaker. But indications are from Senator Rounds, the key co-sponsor, and some other senators that we may see this reintroduced. And if it is, it's astounding to see in the original version, 64 pages of legislation and the term non-human intelligence introduced 24 times. I think that's astounding. I want to also add, not many people know this, but President Biden signed legislation in December that actually does mention non-human intelligence explicitly.
The way they're doing it, it's like not going to be a shock anymore. Like when it finally comes out, when it's finally law, when you and I can tell people, see, we were saying it, it's going to be so nothing because they've drawn it out for so long. It's just not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, and that's likely their plan.
Right? It works.
Why they're doing it like this.
Because I even feel that way now. Even if it comes out, I'm not even going to care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't have the same effect. Like it would have been so cool like a year ago, and now I'm like, okay, yeah.
I know. They wait till everyone's apathetic about it. That's why we got to keep up the podcast and keep talking about it and keep annoying our friends and family about it.
But yeah, it's good that it's coming back now. The UAP Disclosure Act, it looks like, and now these guys in the Intel community know we're all watching them. And what are they going to say this next time around?
Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Well, China apparently is getting ready to disclose. This is according to Steve Spragg on X. He goes, I'm getting rumbles that China is going to disclose. Heard this now from two sources close to this matter. That's all I have. Could be a rumor, but recent developments seem to push this as possible, if not probable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole reason supposedly we haven't released anything about what we know about UAPs is because we don't want to give our hand away as to what technology we have. I have a hard time believing.
I'm guessing
China would disclose, if they are going to disclose, it's going to be either fake or something to throw the U.S. off their trail or however the hell you want to phrase it.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, because if they're all three in a race of who's going to reverse who knows what, then the best way is just to keep secret. All of them keep secret about it.
Exactly.
What's this one? Oh, another catastrophic disclosure. Oh, this is Greer. Intelligence advisor says catastrophic disclosure about UFOs may be on horizon.
Oh, here's hoping.
They keep saying that though, right?
I know they keep
on the horizon.
Keep
very
saying
close.
They keep saying it.
But now it's catastrophic disclosure that's happening. So a senior advisor to the U.S. government regarding UAP has said that a catastrophic disclosure regarding the subject may be on the horizon. Dr. Stephen Greer, founder of the Disclosure Project, claims to advise members of Congress and law enforcement about apparent covert special access programs, SAPs, which are allegedly being used to cover up the subject.
Wow.
But
I truly hope this catastrophic disclosure happens and people realize we can circumvent our government because they are completely worthless. This is a great article, though. I love that photo. Just goes to show, like, what kind of, sketchy stuff happens with our military.
We've got 151 black sites where operations have occurred. This is disclosure, and it can be official. It can be official when Congress gets organized. Just do it.
I know.
So many people are just like, I'm not gonna touch this subject anymore. I'm out.
It's just all foreplay and no insertion at this point.
I know, it's not even like, no insertion. So that's catastrophic disclosure. So Luis Elizondo, it came out that his records are being destroyed and erased at the DoD.
Yikes.
And the reason why we know is the Black Vault. He was for Elizondo in the beginning, interviewed him, got some information out of him, could not corroborate that from the DoD, right? And started saying that Luis Elizondo's a liar. But now recently, it was leaked to him that there were some papers that were redacted that would show that Luis Elizondo was head of ATIP. So now they're friends again or something. But it just shows that the government can just sit there and erase people, not just erase people, but say that records have been destroyed when they haven't been destroyed, and they won't just release FOIA. They release whatever they want, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we've known this. We've known this forever. I mean, when did they say they were going to release all the files in the JFK assassination? That never happened.
No, and now it'll never happen. It took 20 years, right? That's what the act was 20 years. And then once it got to the president goes, we're not releasing that.
So it's just all for nothing. And
even this will be, the UAP Disclosure Act is supposed to be designed after the JFK Disclosure Act. So here's Luis Elizondo. He came out with a statement after what happened.
People first inquired about my story. The Pentagon initially confirmed my role in ATIP and the focus of its efforts. Shortly after Secretary Mattis left the department, the Pentagon changed its tune by saying all my emails had been deleted. The same emails that would substantiate not only my claims, but many of those who were part of the ATIP effort, including one of its sponsors, the great late Harry Reid. Now, keep in mind, as part of this legal case, United States versus Khalid Sheikh Mohammed et al., there is a court preservation order that is still in effect that requires the retention of literally all of Lou Elizondo's emails in perpetuity because of Lou's involvement in the 9/11 Commission's trial for the accused perpetrators of the.
Wait. Luis Elizondo is connected with the 9/11 trials? Oh, and because of that, they're not allowed to delete any of his emails because of that. But they went ahead and did that anyway.
Oh, cool. So the government's breaking the law. What else is new?
I know, right? Yeah, they're investigating themselves too.
Yeah.
Attacks on 9/11. Now, all of this came back to the forefront with the release of this story by John Greenwald Jr. of the Black Vault. Quote, new FOIA release highlights redactions in key ATIP correspondence. What is the Pentagon hiding? It's a pretty damn good question. Now, while I have been critical of some of John's analysis, he actually has done excellent work utilizing the Freedom of Information.
You notice everyone says about John. Everyone, and I mean everyone. I've not seen anyone that's 100% with him, because he is just himself, man. That's the thing about him. You have to love that about the guy. He is just himself, and it's hard to think like when you look at what he does, like, wait a minute, is he on their side or is he on our side? And it just goes, with me at least, goes back and forth. I'm like, man, he's got to be a Fed. Man, oh, okay, he's not. He's after the truth. Oh, no, he's got to be a Fed. So I think everyone goes through this with him. And he trusts the FOIA process way too much, I think.
I agree.
You know, it's all about FOIA, and he thinks the government does nothing wrong. But yeah, no, they lie. And they use him. I think that's what they do too. They use him to get out information.
And we've got precedent for that as well. I mean, we've proven time and time again our government does that.
Yeah.
I've included a link to John's article in the YouTube description. And of course, I encourage everyone here watching to read it. Now, through a FOIA request John filed in 2021, he finally received an email chain from the Pentagon regarding Lou Elizondo, ATIP, and Lou Elizondo's replacement at ATIP, Neil Tipton. Lou, once again, in an exclusive statement provided to the Good Trouble Show, continued, later, when confronted with a FOIA request, the Pentagon denied again the existence of any emails or correspondence between me and other seniors within the department who I was regularly engaged with until the day I left the Pentagon in 2017. Recently, one of my emails was leaked by an unknown person on Reddit. Now, this time when the Pentagon was challenged with the existence of the email, in this case, one that described the authorized transfer of ATIP leadership responsibilities to another senior member of the department and endorsed by the Secretary of Defense front office, they were forced to admit this email existed, was not deleted as they had previously claimed. Now, begrudgingly, the Pentagon finally did release the email, proving my role and participation in ATIP. The Pentagon decided to redact the mention of ATIP. Big surprise there. By this logic, they would also have to redact the name of Arrow and any other office at the Pentagon. Yeah, well, surprise there. Now, Greenwald, in his article in the Black Vault, shows the two emails. We'll show them here. And, if you look at it, I mean, this is incredibly damning. It truly demonstrates that the Pentagon continues to break federal law. And, when you look at these two things, what it does is it really lays bare the fact that Lou Elizondo's emails have not been deleted, despite what, the Pentagon wants you to think. Now, the
Pentagon's lying about it, and they've been caught lying about it, and no one's going to do anything about it.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's the thing. What can anyone do? If the people in charge have no one above them to report to, and they're the ones screwing up and lying and cheating and stealing, they don't have. I mean, technically, we're their bosses, right? The people of the United States.
Yes.
But it doesn't. That's just not the way it works in this world, unfortunately.
But look how important the UFO UAP thing is to be kept secret.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that was redacted from there was to show that Elizondo had something to do with ATIP. They did not want that out, even though the guy came out and said it. They want people to think the guy's lying, And he's been smeared so much, and people like Green Street have gone out and done a whole episode on this and a bunch of articles on this because the government denied that he was part of ATIP. Same thing with Greenwald. Same thing. They did that whole smear campaign against him, and he's vindicated now. You know, fucking.
But still, none of these people are going to be held accountable, which is that's the biggest shame about this whole story.
Yeah.
In my mind, I mean, sure, the credibility of some of these people are trying to be ruined by the U.S. government, But the fact that the U.S. government has the power to do this without any repercussions, I think, is the larger crime.
Oh man!
Continues.
Let's see what if there's anything else in here.
To lie to Congress, and we know a lot of members of Congress and their staffers watch this show, and I want you guys to really pay attention to this. They're lying to you and the public about all of this. Remember, a standing federal court order, as I mentioned, requires the Pentagon to keep all, not just any, all of Lou Elizondo's emails on file in perpetuity. I mentioned earlier that Pentagon Public Affairs Officer Susan Goff has been, well, let's just say, a staple at the Pentagon Public Affairs Office.
Yeah, we can go on. That's so crazy. It's such a black pill, huh? I mean,
yeah, no kidding.
Even with all these eyes on them, all this legislation, they don't care. They're like, yeah, we'll just delete it. Yeah, we'll just lie. Just lie. Just say it's been deleted. And none of that has happened.
Well, when, like I said, they face no repercussions, why not just keep lying? Why not just double down? They know they're immune to any repercussions.
I mean, it's because that law too, the National Security Act, just gives them immunity. They have immunity and they know it. They're really above the Constitution. That was one of the worst laws ever. All right, and this goes more into it. I don't think we need to get into this, but Ross Coulthard was on the show also, and just saying his opinion and how disgusted he is that this blatant lying happens to Congress and even the president. But why is it just this subject really is the most one that does this? It's the only one that does this, really, to this extent, where they have to delete and destroy records.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show there's something obviously there's something to it. This isn't just some phony baloney made up nonsense that people are making a big deal out of. We keep catching the government doing all these shady things and covering up, their tracks and lying and deflecting. They find ways around the law. They find ways to put themselves above the law. And you're right. And it's mostly for this. So clearly there's something, there's something there. The proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding. Well, that new whistleblower, he's on, this is on the Daily Star. UFO whistleblower claims alien flagged down military convoy to ask for a spare part.
Now this is great. This is why I love our interdimensional neighbors. Folks, if you're driving through a forest at night and you see a crashed UFO on the side, an alien waves you down and asks for a spare tire, you give that alien your spare tire.
Oh yeah, what you'll see is a great scene in Twin Peaks season 3.
Awesome.
Oh man, yeah, it's a good one of that. So, one of the latest UFO whistleblowers to come forward with information about the U.S. government's dealings with aliens has told of his incredible encounter with an extraterrestrial who was looking for roadside assistance. UFO expert.
So funny. To be the cover art for the show this week is an alien on the side of the road, like looking, like trying to
hitchhiking.
Yeah, hitchhiking, like next to a crash UFO.
So Courtney explained the details of Sand's extraordinary claims on the Disclosure Team podcast. She said there was a convoy that had left Nellis Air Force Base out on the range, and they were told by their commander not to talk with anybody out in the desert. But there was a person walking on the road with U.S. military fatigues on, so they stopped. Jason was in the passenger seat of the vehicle, and he rolled his window down to speak with the person and asked if they needed help. But it was not a human being. It was another type of being, and it asked him for a part of his ship. According to Courtney, Sands then suggested to the extraterrestrial visitor that they should ask for help at Area 51, but she says the being had said no. That's the story that I heard. Huh?
So, well, we don't have your intergalactic engine here, but you should go check out Area 51. Like, nah, I tried there already. They don't have it.
Dude, it's like, that area is called Dreamland.
Yeah.
And maybe there is like some weird portal around there.
Wouldn't surprise me. The deserts all over the world are very strange places. People have a lot of spiritual things happen to them in the desert. And, no matter where you are in the world, it seems to be a very common occurrence.
So why was this guy wearing U.S. fatigues?
Yeah, I mean, all the theories about aliens and the U.S. government working together.
Yeah.
Maybe, he just needed a spare set of clothes. Maybe his, I don't know. Who knows?
wait,
it could have just been a projected image for the guys in the military people in the car, so they'd feel like they could stop and talk to this person or alien.
Weird. Okay, wait, I need to pause 1 sec.
Okay.
Yeah, so what do you think about this Sands guy? I mean, he's that controversial whistleblower that came out, and he's the one behind this hitchhiker incident.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, trust but verify. That's what always comes down to for me.
Yeah, people are so sick of these whistleblowers too.
I love to hear things like this, just off the wall bizarre.
Yeah.
To me, it almost makes it seem more real because of how weird it is.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to make up a story about a UFO, you're going to say, like you're going to tell your typical alien abduction story, and you saw the grays and they shoved a needle in your eye or a thing up your butt.
Yeah.
But he's talking about driving by an alien dressed in army fatigues, looking for spare parts for a ship. That seems more normal to me. That seems like somewhat realistic, I guess.
Right. I mean, if they crash, they're going to need some way to get back out.
And I mean, we've talked about the tall whites, and I think AJ just did a show about them, and that was something that we were working on with the tall whites. They would repair our ships, and we would give them spare parts to repair their ships. So this isn't that far fetched. It fits in with the lore.
Oh, it's such a cool, just reality. And also, I mean, if you try to link it with like what's happening on a global level, and how everyone's talking about, a declining empire, we're broke, or you have BRICS using not the dollar, you have all these wars. But if we seriously are working with like NHIs and doing all this stuff for them, and I don't know, like it is such a disconnect there with what's happening in the world in reality, and then this. I don't know. It's hard to link them both, because that means if seriously this is happening, the U.S. government is doing that. That means it's beyond the planet by 500 years, maybe easily.
Yeah,
all these games could end, all of them. I mean, yeah, I know they want to keep us in perpetual fear,
but that's the game they're playing.
Yeah.
Their game is to stay on top no matter what. Yeah, we could help the people, but that just brings the people closer to us, and we can't have that. We need to be up top.
We're the gods. We are the gods of humanity.
We're playing, we're tossing stones to see who can throw the furthest, and they're playing chess with lasers.
Yeah. With lasers. NARA gives feds instructions on UFO records classification. So when they gutted the last year's UAP Disclosure Act, they got rid of everything except for that the National Archives, that federal agencies have to declassify UFO documents. And that's what this is. So NARA is the National Archives, right? Agency. So
National Archives and Records Administration.
And Records Administration. There it is. So they're giving federal agencies instructions on how to review, identify, and organize records in their custody relating to unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So I would love to see what the Department of Energy has. Unless they're exempt. Because that's the whole thing, right? That the 1951 Atomic Energy Act exempts UFOs and UAPs from disclosure because that act protects them.
Wow.
So step 1, federal agencies must prepare and identify all metadata elements. The guidance includes a metadata requirements list that agencies must follow when reviewing, identifying, and organizing. Man, we must have the greatest bureaucracy in the history of man. Like,
we don't. We've got a ton of red tape. It's most convoluted. In all those cop shows where it's like, who's in charge here? Me. Yeah. I'm from the NSA. No, not any longer. You're not. And then the new guy walks in like, who's in charge here? No, you're not. I'm in charge now.
Then
like,
the FBI comes in.
All these different government organizations stepping on each other. Nobody knows who's in charge. They're idiots.
It's just crazy how something becomes law, and then whoever's the agency that's tasked to doing it then owns that, right? Really gets to understand it, and then briefs all the different other agencies. But who's going to enforce it? Yeah, you can tell these agencies to disclose and declassify. Nothing forces them except for them to just abide by law. Right? I mean, it's not like they go to jail.
Right.
Step 2, agencies must conduct an access review of each UAP record and identify which records can be publicly disclosed without any redaction, identify partially restricted records, and create a public access version with redactions, and postpone fully restricted UAP records. How is this helpful? How is this any different than FOIA right now?
It's not.
This
is why we need to go around the government. That's why I'm rooting for catastrophic disclosure.
I can't wait for that. Step 3, federal agencies must transfer physical and legal custody of the copies of the fully releasable, restricted in part, and postponed UAP records. Oh, okay. So even the stuff that's redacted or postponed still has to go to NARA. Interesting. September 30th.
Well, we all know how much government agencies love working with each other. And love sharing secrets and documents with each other.
Yeah, they'll be up yours, Nora. Good luck getting our documents. Anyway, it still shows some direction, some seriousness of this, but I don't expect anything.
I don't either.
Mr. Burchett is still at it. Congressman moved to declassify UFO docs. Yeah, if you got nothing to hide, release the files.
Dang nabbit.
It even says that here. Where is it? Dag nabbit right there. It's simple. They spent all this time telling us they don't exist, then release the files, dag nabbit. That's great. There he is.
Who is leading the push for answers on UFOs. Congressman, good to have you with us. You may have heard at the very end of the debate, we asked a question about this to Governor Christie for New Jersey. There were sort of some laughs in the room, partly because of what he was saying. But here was his answer to the actual question. Watch.
The job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. Whether it was UFOs or this problem of education, and Tim's right, by the way, and I started this in 2010 by going right after the teachers' unions in New Jersey and drove them down to an all-time low popularity rating because they were putting themselves before our kids. That is the biggest threat to our country, not you.
Not UFOs. Oh, whoa, what happened? Sorry, something went wrong. Okay.
Crashed the site. They don't want us telling the truth.
Was it Krispy Kreme? So that was funny. All right, so this is a new act called the UAP Transparency Act. It was on Thursday. But
I don't want some crazy fancy name for it. Scroll up. There's a pretty good quote up there, right above that photo. I don't want some crazy fancy name for it. I just want them to do exactly what the bill is about. Hell yeah.
Just let us know. Dagnabbit. I mean, we're trying, man. We're trying. It's just...
And it's nice to see, I mean, as little support as the UFO community has in Congress, at least there's something there.
Yeah, and even Canada, the U.S. Intelligence Agency wants to meet with Transport Canada's lead on UFOs amid heightened interest and headline-grabbing news about the Pentagon's UFO research efforts. So, but what jurisdiction do we have? Okay, fine, they're an ally. We work together with many things, but it's just crazy how we want to meet with Canadian officials to see what they know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a net positive. I think the more countries collaborate and come forward with what they know, the more information that we have as a society, which I think, like I said, is a net positive. It's just with all the secrecy that governments tend to participate in, it seems unlikely we'll get anywhere.
Everything's a secret. Everything that's not like in our textbooks or just How about anything that's not from the Bible or like any of the major religions or by the Smithsonian? It's just hogwash and not real and kept secret.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. On that note, these guys, the Kashmir giants,
Yeah.
This is crazy. Look how big they are.
They were twin brothers. The taller one was 7'9", and the shorter one was 7'4". This picture was from, when did it say?
Early 1900s, I think. Right? Oh, it doesn't say.
Oh yeah, but it looks like the early 1900s.
Yeah, or late 1800s.
Yeah. Very very interesting photo. One of the stories. I know one of the stories that's been in the news the last few weeks is, and we've talked about it on the show, are the 10-foot skeletons that no one can seem to explain. I sent this to you as a joke. I think because we were talking about the Sasquatch that were caught in the video bison, and I said I think we found the Sasquatch, the tall basketball players behind the buffalo.
So the Smithsonian also hid all this evidence because they found 10-foot skeletons. Yeah, back in the day. So they have them. They just cover it up because it just messes with the official history of humanity. The whole thing that starts 6,000 years ago with Sumer and Egypt, and since then, right? Anything before that is all just made up, even though Plato said it.
Yeah, I mean,
cultures have it.
I've been finding there's been a lot of posts on Reddit recently that I keep coming across. I think I've sent one or two of your way, but I didn't think they were interesting enough for the show.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm talking about it anyway. Like one of the things I saw was a tool that was clearly used like as a hammer, and it was dated like 300,000 years ago or something like, and it completely doesn't fit into the narrative that modern human is, fairly recent.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just has to fit that narrative that our controllers have given us.
Yeah.
What it is, it just keeps them in control, keeps them at the top, keeps them the wealthiest. It's just, because they know it's a perception thing. It's all about perception.
Yeah, and I think it's also one of those things like when you start questioning the official, like you go, wait, maybe humans are much older than we previously thought. And then you go, well, what else are they lying about? And then you dig deeper and you go, well, what really happened on 9/11? What's really going on with UFOs? What happened during the JFK assassination? And you go, wait a second, all these people on top are evil criminal bastards. And then, then chaos happens and they're out of power, hopefully.
And it's all a lie. Exactly. And it's all a lie. And
so everything has to fit the narrative. Everything. All the science does.
Yeah, if you go around it, then you're a kook, you're a conspiracy theorist, and whatever other names they'll throw your way.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't click into this, but Wired magazine is saying the U.S. Army has officially sent a pair of high-energy laser weapons overseas to defend U.S. troops and allies against enemy drones. Who could that be? It's the first publicly known deployment of a directed energy system for air defense in military history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sci-fi's here.
Star Wars, man.
You can't actually see the laser though, right?
No, and that's why I think they're taking this one in infrared.
It's a little misleading because I don't think you would see like a sustained laser beam like that. I think that's a little too sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. No, you wouldn't see it. Unlike Star Wars, where you see them come out of the guns, you wouldn't. Right. It would just burn you.
Yep.
Or just disintegrate you.
Disintegrate, yeah.
So there's that, and then there's another one. This is from the debrief. DARPA funding military-grade quantum laser prototype.
Oh boy, this can't go wrong.
Yeah. So basically how lasers, water, rain, and fog, it stops it from being effective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, what this does, it uses the quantum world. You know how photons, when they're linked together.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I know very little about quantum, but I understand the concept of it.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the word now, but it's when they're connected together. Entanglement, quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
So quantum entanglement, is what they use, and that's how it can get over the whole fog issue. It won't dissipate.
But wouldn't you have to see, I'm confused because, well, maybe I'm not. Okay, so you have to have the second proton on the other side of where you're trying to go to.
Well, you can you create them at the same time. That means they're entangled, and then
Right.
when you separate them,
But you have to you have to get that second particle, even though they're entangled. You have to get that second particle to where it needs to go.
Right.
So I'm wondering how that technology works, because I mean, maybe that's what the first shot is. Like, you shoot the photon.
Would be that one, the one photon, and the next one would be the other one,
right?
And they're entangled.
Right.
Yes, there you go. And that's why if something happens along the way from the first one and it changes because of fog or something, the other one will change. So still get the message. So a message will never be broken as long as the first one goes through, basically. Kind of
right. I guess. I mean, this is a total guess. I have no idea how they're doing this, but
so yeah,
because I mean, you encode the photons, but it doesn't matter, because if they're right next to each other, that's not effective. They need to be separated so you can have
separated.
Yeah, so you can actually have an effect. See,
right?
I know science.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, you do have a
this-
scientific mind, so it's not like, I mean,
kind
you'll
of.
yeah. I mean, but if it's explained to you in a way where you can understand it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, as long as it's not using equations.
Right. Yeah. Forget about the math part.
So these guys say to create their prototype quantum laser, Shen's team will develop and test methods for what they are calling a quantum photonic dimmer laser. According to the press release announcing the project, this two-color photonic technology, in which carefully controlled pairs of light particles or photonic dimmers are entangled, results in a coherent beam of laser beam made up of two different light wavelengths, there we go, that contain the same information due to their state of entanglement. All right, so it's two different wavelengths, but they're still entangled.
So bizarre.
Yeah, you know, this two-colored laser loses significantly less information when passing through the atmosphere, even when experiencing adverse environmental conditions or traversing long distances. Man, this is going to revolutionize telecommunications.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, they were supposed to set up. Remember that whole thing with the U.S. government gave all the like AT&T and Verizon all that money to set up faster internet all over the country, and they just pocketed money and never did it.
They didn't do anything.
Yeah, again,
they did nothing.
They did nothing. They got paid billions of dollars and just sat on it. I'm wondering if this is going to be the same kind of deal where, yeah, we've got the technology to quantum communicate anywhere in the world at this, in a single moment.
For us only.
But only for us and for military applications, not for you peasants.
That's exactly what's going to happen. So, and you know, with this kind of system, you can't hack it either.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool piece of science. I mean, you don't need radios anymore. There's no interference, due to weather or any kind of atmospheric conditions. You don't have to worry about satellites intercepting your feed. If you've got two quantum particles, they just
photons,
direct connection to each other, and that's it.
That's so crazy. Think about it. You just have a photon, and isn't the other photon somewhere else?
This is literally, I know I bring this up every single day, every single show. This is what three-body problem is about. This is a large.
Yes, I mean, it is advanced science in there.
About.
Right. Well, and the Chinese were the first ones to actually do it. They did the experiment. The first ones to do the experiment up in space and down here.
Yep, I talked about it on the show before. Yeah.
Yeah, it was instantaneous.
Pretty cool. I don't know how much data they sent through. I don't think it was a whole lot, but the fact.
I think it was just the spin. That's all it was.
Yeah, it's still. Yeah. I mean, it's the first step. It's really cool.
It's amazing. They changed the spin here on Earth, and then the spin in the satellite in space happened immediately, way faster than the speed of light.
Yeah,
and that's what they wanted to prove, that this entanglement has nothing to do with physics in the real world.
Yeah, quantum mechanics is bizarre.
It's so bizarre.
And anyone that tells you they understand it, don't listen to them. They don't.
I mean, a lot of it has to do with consciousness, the observer effect, that kind of thing, right? But yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, I still get freaked out about the what's that thing where they were firing electrons? The split.
This experiment.
Yeah, where the outcome would change if they watched the test.
Yeah,
that's such a bizarre concept.
It behaved. It was a wave and a particle if we weren't watching. Once we started watching, it became a particle.
Yeah.
So weird. But it just proves how consciousness is extremely important to this universe. Like, we live in a mind.
This is what I'm saying, man. The universe is conscious, bro. Open up your mind, man.
Yeah, dude. Open up your mind, man. All right. The unique thing about this project is its dual focus on generating these novel, strongly correlated quantum photonic states and developing the theoretical framework and advanced algorithms for their efficient detection, potentially revolutionizing quantum imaging and communication. Man, quantum communication will and that's why we probably don't see other advanced civilizations using radar.
Right.
You know how search like SETI is always like using radar.
Well, and this is the, this is pretty common in sci-fi movies and books and stuff. But like, let's say there is a race of intelligent beings that come from the next galaxy over. Imagine they can communicate with their homeworld instantaneously. Like for us, it takes 8 hours to send a radio wave to Mars.
Yeah.
And if they're communicating across galaxies in an instant, I mean, that's why quantum communication is so important.
Yeah, and plus you can't hack it. It's instantaneous. It's definitely the way to go. That's the future.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
It makes sense. And the quantum internet too. If there's a quantum internet, it's instantaneous information. It's you don't even need encryption anymore because someone cannot even get in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I mean, that's probably going to be the next internet. Quantum is because it can't be censored.
Right, it can't be censored, but then the government will lose it. I mean, could you imagine if they can't censor something or listen to you?
God. They love that. They love that black Sharpie.
Yeah, I mean I'm sorry to say it. The world has to move on. It just has to move on.
Yep.
You know, I know we're holding on to dear life with this empire, but that's it. So on that note,
what is this?
So they in Congress, the Department of Homeland Security had a hearing in Congress, and they basically admitted to neuroweapons.
Yikes.
You're correct. These are very covert weapons, aren't they?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things.
And you guys also said that these attacks are happening right here in this city. Is that correct?
I mean, there have been some that have gone public with respect to Washington, D.C.
I think it was Mr. Grozev said you spoke to a Russian agent who said that they believe that Americans are using these same weapons on them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Might that have something to do with part of the CIA's motive to cover up the existence of this tech and these weapons?
That is a very logical possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes.
Do you remember like all those jokes about, the government is sending radio waves into my brain, and like now this is actually like a real thing.
And those same people, if you bring it up, they're like, "Yeah, I knew it. I knew that." You know. Yeah. And now no one is surprised that this is happening. So silent weapons targeting Americans in the homeland, Havana syndrome. You really can't judge people anymore. Like, fine, suspect someone, don't just believe them, but
trust
also,
and
and don't dismiss people when they have experiences like this. Not everyone is crazy. Not everyone wants attention. Some people need help.
Yeah,
and they don't know how else to get it.
Absolutely.
And when the government's sitting there lying about these weapons.
Yeah, I mean, how many more times do we have to catch them lying before it's like, maybe that crazy guy on the bus in the tinfoil hat, maybe he's not crazy at all.
Exactly.
For his round of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here. Mr. Grozev, I want to follow up a little bit on the interactions you've had with Russian intelligence about these AHIs.
What? Oh.
And Mr. Zaid, I want to ask, and this is a hypothetical, but I'm trying to understand why our government would try to block information sharing or conceal information that they have. And one thing that comes to mind is whether there's an operational risk to revealing any of the details of their investigation. Is that something that you have come across in any of your work?
There's a lot of reasons why the information might not be publicly released. And I do think that's something we could address more in a classified environment to explain that. But there are understandable reasons why the US government has not revealed much of what it knows.
There's some long-term things that needs to be done in terms of new acts. But in the short term, we need to do things like implement the original Havana Act. DOD still hasn't done it. They still have not.
Why do they treat us like children, dude? Or not just children, but they treat us like enemies.
We are their enemies. There's millions and millions of us, and just a few of them, not that few, but we outnumber them a lot. And so if we are as you know, if they can't control us, we are the enemy. I mean, that's how they see us.
It's so it's just apparent that that's how they're acting. Like everything is kept from us. Nothing is transparent. And if it is transparent, it's like, oh, well, we can only tell you a little bit of it, not everything.
Which isn't transparency at all.
No, it's not.
It's cloudy.
I mean, we were such a stronger country before all this. Much stronger, much more prosperous, much more free. Like, what are they afraid of going back to that? It's because they don't like competition, right? Or they don't like uncertainty.
I strongly believe it's like I said earlier. They will do everything they can to remain on top, to remain the
power.
If they start giving out free energy, free money, free housing, free food, they lose that power over us. And they can't have that. They have to have the power. I mean, this is what people, you know, there's only two rules about being a politician. Your first rule is to get power, and your second rule is to keep that power by all means. That's the only two things every single politician, every single person in charge, those are their only two goals. That's it. And when you look at it like that, you see the patterns as to why we're treated the way we're treated as a regular American citizen or a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
We are the enemy.
You know, it could be a reason why then these catastrophes happen every 6,000 to 12,000 years, these resets. And we've talked about this on the show too, about micronovas from the sun that happen every 12,000 years and just wipes everything clean pretty much. But Zach Voorhees, and he was a skeptic about this, has done a lot of research into this, and now he's come out and said that, yep, I've researched this, and it's going to happen about the magnetic pole shift. So he goes, Earth, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and all the other planets have the same orientation in their north and south poles. Even Uranus, which is tilted 90 degrees on its side, still has its north and south pole aligned with ours. Why? Because the sun, right? The magnetic pole orientation is driven by the polarization of our local space within the galaxy, which is driven by the galactic current sheet that you see below. It's rippling out because of a process called Parker instability. And it's this right here. How it just permeates from one location. So here he's talking about a magnetic pole reversal. When the magnetic poles neutralize, something happens to the sun, which causes it to blow off the top layer of its shell in what's called a micronova great solar flash. The last one that happened 6,000 years ago ended the last ice age, caused the seas to rise 500 meters, plunging the coastlines into the sea, and is the basis of the fable known as Noah's Ark.
And just so people know, and I think I've said on the show, and hopefully you're watching the Wild Files because he says it all the time. So many cultures, almost every culture, ancient culture around the world has stories about the Great Flood. And,
they all do.
And even Noah's Ark shows up in various cultures. Obviously, it's called different things, and it's you know, different, not the story that we're taught in the Bible, but similar.
Yeah, it was a global event. Like you said, all cultures, Native American cultures, Asian cultures, of course, Middle East, they all have the same story of a global flood happening. And because we all share this planet, and it happened on a planet-wide basis. So it's called a micronova event. So he says there's little that we can do to mitigate our sun going micronova. You can go underground in shallow regions to escape exposure, but going deeper underground doesn't do you any good. When the sun micronovas and ejects in coronal surface, a big giant cloud of highly charged particles will be emitted in all directions. This cloud of highly charged particles induced strong electromagnetic currents, not unlike induction heating on a stove. So yeah, so the deeper you go, the more hot it's going to get. So you have to be shallow.
Very interesting.
I wonder what happens with the deep underground military bases, though. So I guess they're not safe then from this.
Well, I wonder what deep means. Like, is deep like could I go in the basement and be safe, or is that deep enough, or like are we talking deep like a mile down, or are we talking deep like just inside of a mountain or something?
Yeah, I guess we'd have to ask. I mean, he's saying here these currents get stronger the further you go underground, because in comparison to the electrical resistance of free space, Earth looks like a metal conductor. So again, as biological entities, we will be fine, but all of our computers, all of our electronics, all of our grids, they're going to get fried, which means we're back in the Stone Ages.
Oh, and no more Reddit. Thank God.
No more Reddit. No more Twitter.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Can't wait.
So yeah, Sun Weatherman. He's I watch him every morning. Really quick, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. He does updates every morning about the sun.
Yeah, there was the big solar flare that happened last weekend. Of course,
that's right.
Nothing really happened. I was texting my mom about it, and she goes, "What do you think's gonna happen?" I go, "Well, there's going to be a solar flare, but we're still going to work on Monday." And sure enough, I was able to see the future, and I was correct.
Yeah, I mean, basically that was for government agencies and how to deal with it. I think a bunch of satellites got knocked off.
Yeah,
knocked out. Right.
That's
GPS.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah, especially GPS. I mean, GPS is
satellite based.
And geosynchronous orbit, way up there. With that in mind, I did not really get this, but this guy Riz Verk, he was on Joe Rogan, I guess recently.
Yeah, I saw the interview was posted. I don't really listen to Joe Rogan, but I saw that he was on there.
So I would love to see this and listen to it. So he put on X. He goes, I mentioned on the Joe Rogan Experience that there were some folks out there trying to run experiments to show if we live in a simulation. One of those is the group led by physicist Tom Campbell and includes folks from Caltech and JPL, who has been a pioneer in simulation theory for a while. So here is the test, I guess.
Oh, I can't
either.
I wouldn't even, it doesn't matter if I can see it or not. I don't even know how to read this.
But it's like the double
slit. Yeah, I can actually see that one.
Wait a minute.
Top right. And, well, I guess it's in all of them. But I don't know. It's an interesting concept. But to me, I don't know. It doesn't really change anything if we do live in a simulation or not.
It doesn't.
I understand the desire to want to know, but it's kind of like the solar flare thing. I still have to go to work tomorrow, whether or not we live in a simulation. If I go, we live in a simulation, and I just go out and start shooting people, I'm still going to get jail.
Even if we're a simulation, the gift is that we still experience consciousness. Like even say that we are a simulation, that I'm a simulation, right? Well, this simulation still can not just simulate, but can understand the simulation and be conscious about the simulation. So it's not a simulation like how we think of a simulation. It's different. I mean,
right.
I think all they're saying is that it's not a real. I can't even say it now. I don't even know what I'm saying.
I think they're trying to figure out if there's a step above us.
Yeah.
The way we work on computers, are we living in a greater consciousness that's working on whatever their version of a computer is, and we're in their programs? I mean, this is what the Matrix was about.
The Matrix is about that. And then is there a purpose to us? Obviously there is. So are we part of some computational endeavor, some algorithm. Is Earth now Earth being that is Hitchhiker's Guide, right? That's what Earth was. Earth was a giant supercomputer to figure out the question why.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting concept. You know, I would love.
It doesn't change anything, like you said, though. It doesn't change our lives.
It doesn't, but it does bring up the whole. I mean, if they are, here's the thing. I don't know how you explain to the layman if you are able to prove this. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's just you just go, oh, neat, it's a simulation, but like it doesn't really. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change anything unless by proving
Not
it,
really.
prove there's a way out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what it does prove is like, don't be afraid then of anything. Don't have anxiety. Like, have your own path and just go into it. You know,
because simulation implies that you're programmed to do something. But as we've proven time and time again, humans we make our own decisions, or we at least think we make our own decisions. Here we go, philosophical conundrum. But I'm just saying, you know, go out and live your best life. Change the simulation in your favor. If this is
and it shows that the universe is malleable, that your thoughts and your consciousness can change your reality.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what that would prove also. So I don't know, in this means, but it's wave pattern. They're talking about paradoxes. So there are experiments being done to prove if we live in a simulation. So again,
I'd be really disappointed if it turns out that nope, we don't. And everyone's like, oh well, okay. On to the next thing, I guess.
I feel like they go back and forth with this. Like, oh, okay, yes, although it's a possibility, we believe we are in the original universe.
Yeah, there's a really, really good short story that kind of touches on this, where it's these scientists who are working in a lab, and one scientist, I'm completely paraphrasing and butchering it. One scientist is like, hey guys, come over here. I completed the simulation. And then on the computer screen, it's just showing them from behind. And then on the screen, they're looking at a screen and it just goes down layers and layers and layers. And they go, whoa, so the simulation we created made a simulation. And the scientist goes, well, no, that's not the worst part. And they like input something on the computer and a big black cube appears on the screen behind the scientist. And they turn around and there's a big black cube behind them. And so they're like several layers. They don't know. They know they're not at the top. But anyway, it's a very, very fascinating short story.
Cool, man. Yeah, and you watched the 13th Floor, right? The other week.
Which one is that?
That's the one with the simulation. That's within the simulation. They create a simulation, but they're also simulated.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I cannot.
No, you watched it and you thought it was going to be all the way down or something more, but when they die, they go up, right?
Oh, yeah, God, yeah, I did watch it. It was great, but I don't. I remember liking it, but I don't. I think I was still drinking when I watched it. I'll have to watch it again because I do remember when they drive to the edge of the simulation.
Yes, they drove to the edge of it. Yeah, but he wakes up in their world. They take him up to their world.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Yeah, so I mean that has in there where it's nested simulations. It doesn't go too far, but it just shows how you could create a universe very intricate with really advanced AI or beings that are also conscious, that then contemplate this, but then also create their own simulation within yours, which is just nested simulations.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Not a crazy concept. Oh, this guy, did he roast? Oh, this was great, man. His name is Winston Marshall. And Pelosi is here. Have you seen these before? It's in London. They do these debates in Oxford.
I have not.
So they do a lot of these. But so Pelosi is in here, and basically this subject is about populism. And now the ruling class say populists are fascists and racist. But then when they were, this is pre-Trump. So Obama was a populist, right? That everyone loved him. Bernie was a populist, but then when the real populist came, Trump, they started saying that populism is a negative word.
Sure, of course. Orange man bad. Never forget.
This guy does great, man. I'm just gonna just play a little bit, but he's such a great debater.
Would you say he's a master debater?
Yes, he is a master debater.
Elites use it to show their contempt for ordinary people. This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued he was the populist. If anything, Obama argued Bernie was the populist. It was Bernie who'd spent 5 decades fighting for working people. But Trump. Something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur. To me, populism is not a dirty word. Since the 2008 crash, and specifically the $1 trillion Wall Street bailout, we are in the populist age. And for good reason. The elites have failed. Let me address some common fallacies, some of which have been made tonight. If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those too were dark days for America. Yes?
There is no equivalence. So, but yes.
So you don't agree? But it's fine, you don't agree, that's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was
Oh, please.
decided by the President of the United States.
So you don't agree? But you're
of course she'll say that, you know, but she still sticks by it. Anyway, he gives it to her more now.
Let's hear it. I'm excited.
Yeah, okay.
Damn those days. My point, though, is that all political movements are susceptible to violence and indeed insurrection. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism.
Yep. Totally, man.
I've got quite a lot to get through. Populism, as you know, is the politics of the ordinary people against an elite. Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy. And why else have universal suffrage if not to keep elites in check? Ladies and gentlemen, given the success of Trump, and more recently Javier Milei taking a chainsaw to the state behemoth of Argentina's bureaucratic monster, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was a right-wing populist age. But that would be ignoring Occupy Wall Street. That would be ignoring Jeremy Corbyn's for the many, not the few. That would be ignoring Bernie against the billionaires, RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, and more recently, George Galloway against his better judgment. Now, all of them, including Galloway, recognize genuine concerns of ordinary people being otherwise ignored by the establishment. I'm actually rather surprised that our esteemed opposition, Congressman Pelosi, is on that side of the motion. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-elite. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-establishment. Today, particularly in America, the globalist left have become the establishment.
Yep.
I suppose for Ms. Pelosi to have taken this side of the motion, she'd be arguing herself out of a job. But it's here in Britain where right and left populists united for the supreme act of democracy, Brexit. Polls have showed the number one reason people voted for Brexit was sovereignty, for more democracy. Thank you. What was the response of the Brussels elite? They did everything in their power to undermine the democratic will of the British people, and the Westminster elite were just as disgraceful. As we've heard, David Cameron called the voters fruitcakes, loonies, and closet racists. The Liberal Democrats did everything they could to overturn a democratic vote. Keir Starmer campaigned for a second referendum. Elites would have had us voting and voting and voting until we voted their way. Indeed, that's what happened in Ireland and in Denmark. Let's look at some of the other populist movements. The Hong Konger populist revolt is literally called the pro-democracy movement. The farmer revolts from Netherlands to Germany, France, Greece to Sri Lanka. Farmers are taking their tractors to the road to protest ESG policy that's floated down to us from those all-knowing, infallible elites of Davos. The trucker movement in Canada became anti-elitist when petty tyrant Prime Minister Justin Trudeau froze their bank accounts, not the behavior of a democratic head of state. The Gilets jaunes in France, ULEZ in London, working people protesting policy that hurt them. And how are they treated? They're called conspiracy theorists. They're called far right by the mayor as well. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is the voice of the voiceless.
Yep.
The real threat to democracy is from the elites. Now, don't get me wrong. We need elites. If President Biden has shown us anything, we need someone to run the countries. When the president has severe dementia, it's not just America that crumbles, the whole world burns. But let's examine the elites. European corporations spend over 1 billion euros a year lobbying Brussels. US corporations spend over $2 billion a year lobbying in DC. 2/3 of Congress receive funding from pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer alone spent $11 million in 2021. They made over $10 billion in profit. No wonder then that 66% of Americans think the economy is rigged against them for the rich and the powerful. And by the way, we used to have a word for when big business and big government were in cahoots.
Fascism.
And I think any students here of early 20th century Italian history know what I'm talking about. What about big tech?
Anyway, he goes on. This is a great speech. And he gives it to Pelosi. I forget when she comes in. I thought it was here, but she comes in. He goes, see, I told you guys.
I wouldn't mind listening to the rest.
Want me to continue? Okay,
yeah.
I'll continue. Okay.
Throughout the pandemic, Biden's team, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security colluded with big tech in censoring dissenting voices, not kooky conspiracy theorists. People like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the Stanford epidemiologist. People like Harvard scientist Martin Kulldorff. People spreading true information, not misinformation, true information at odds with the government narrative. Need I remind you, democracy without free speech is not democracy. Okay. This was a direct breach, by the way, of the First Amendment. Before COVID, intelligence services colluded with big tech to have Trump suspended off Twitter. Yes, the same platform which hosted the Taliban and Ayatollah deaf to Israel Khomeini, they thought the president crossed the line when he tweeted on Jan 6th, quote, remain peaceful, no violence, respect the law, and our great men and women in blue. That's a quote. You may be thinking now that Trump is a populist. You are right. He didn't accept the 2020 elections, and he should have. So should Hillary in 2016, so should Brussels, and so should Westminster in 2016, and so too should Congresswoman Pelosi, instead of saying the 2016 election was, quote, hijacked. Quote, hijacked.
Thank you.
Unreal.
Isn't it unreal? Like, he knew it. He called it, and she still did it. She goes, it was.
Unreal. The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch.
I know, and she's so serious about it. Like, wow. I mean, she heard all that the left has become the establishment, have become the elites, and she just doesn't care.
I mean, he literally, oh my, that was absolutely perfect. And she played her part perfectly by being a flipping idiot. I mean, unreal. He literally set her up, and she stepped right up to the plate and hit it. And he was trying to get her to hit it. That is just embarrassing.
Yeah, because he goes, quote, hijacked, and then she couldn't handle it. She goes, yes, it was actually hijacked.
Just unbelievable.
Anyway, it's a great speech. I don't know why she would even go into this venue to debate these guys. But yeah, listening to it felt like he's like channeling our founding fathers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It could be the British accent, but like he hits it on the nail.
Yeah.
It's only about 2 minutes. If you want to continue this one?
We got to the part I wanted to see. We could move on.
Exactly, yeah. So just on that note, this is what our people in DC are doing.
Yeah,
you
this
sent me
is
this from Judicial Watch.
Pretty wild. New documents reveal DC training for non-citizen voting.
I can't believe this. How is this legal?
So they're teaching. Judicial Watch announced today that it received 13 pages of records in response to a FOIA request from the DC District of Columbia explaining to illegal aliens and other non-citizens how they can register to vote in local elections.
What the fuck, man?
I mean, I didn't even know you were allowed to vote if you weren't here legally.
You're not a citizen. Why would you be able to vote in elections? Well, we know why.
Yeah, there's a pretty good reason why.
Yeah, but what we just saw before is that populism is not on the left. The country is for, I'm not a Trump fan either, but because they don't want to lose elections, and they know instead of trying to appease to the voters, instead of trying to care about us and trying to care about the economy and other things, they would rather just bring in millions of people and have them vote for them because they brought them in and gave them free stuff.
But my favorite whole thing about the immigration crisis is anytime they're shipped to Martha's Vineyard, Chicago, other places, they always go, "We need the National Guard. We can't handle all these immigrants." And it's just like, in New York City, you idiots.
So New York, same thing. Yeah, just send them. I mean, hopefully this will backfire, because I think a lot of those that came in were Catholics, and usually Catholics are more conservative, and they're running away from communism. Why would they come here and support communism?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's going to backfire on them.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
We all are.
So materials presented. So wait, the records came in response to an April 12th FOIA request for materials presented and are provided at the training. So the government's training them to do this. Communications, advertising, and promoting the training, and materials provided to participants, attendees after the training. That's so nuts. It's so crazy.
And this is non-U.S. citizens. Hold on, scroll just a little bit.
Non-U.S.
citizens, U.S. citizen residents of the District of Columbia can vote in local elections under the Local Resident Voting Rights Amendment Act 2022. Very interesting. Very just in time, coincidentally.
Oh yeah, of course it's just this year,
Yep. Well, this is local elections though. Just it's not for presidential elections, but it trickles up.
Yeah, but you vote for your president locally, right?
No. Local elections. I think this is just like
like districts.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not like the resident, the president yet.
Right.
According to federal law, only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections, but a growing number of state and local elections allow non-citizens to vote, among them San Francisco and Oakland, California, of course, along with some cities in Maryland and Vermont.
I just don't understand. Well, I mean, I guess I understand. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but I just can't understand why people are okay with it. I mean, how it makes
I don't
no
think they
sense. Like,
know.
imagine if you and I flew over to, I don't know, Spain, and we were like, and we brought 1 million people with us. We're like, yeah, we should be able to vote. And everyone's just like, oh yeah, cool. We don't want to be racist or anything. You guys can totally influence our country. It's just like, it makes no sense to me.
Only here. It's so bizarre.
And it's the same with voter ID. Like every other country has it, but it's racist if we suggest, doing it here.
Yeah, more on the decline of the empire. That recent $60 billion that we just approved for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Zero Hedge. The Russians just walked in. Ukraine border defense funds diverted to fake companies and massive betrayal.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm completely lost in the weeds at this point with Russia and Ukraine. I don't know who's winning. I don't know who's taking what. Every day I'm seeing conflicting information. The Russians are winning. The Ukrainians are winning. Everyone's winning.
Well, definitely Ukraine is losing. I mean,
they just don't have the people.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got the backing of the U.S.
They got the backing of the U.S. They've lost 500,000 people, which is so unfortunate. They even lowered the age of not consent, but the age of where they can conscription. Yeah, they lowered that even. They're now inviting women to go in there, and for what? Just to delay the inevitable.
But it's just weird because it's so obvious, especially when you spend time on Reddit, when you see the propaganda pieces. I don't know if you remember the very beginning of the conflict, the story about the ghost of Kiev.
Yeah, I remember that. Complete con.
Totally fake story. It turned out it's a complete lie. I mean, and people fell hook, line, and sinker for that. They were just like, "Oh my God, look at Ukraine, how good they're doing." And
the ghost of Ukraine.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild stuff.
It is, and propaganda happens during war, but like this money is just being flushed out. It's not even being flushed down the toilet. People are just skimming these billions of dollars and using it to buy mansions and yachts. And
yeah, I still remember the story of they caught that Ukrainian guy at the border, and he had a suitcase just full of American dollars. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago now, I think, but
it was a couple of years ago. Well, speaking of that, also. Thomas Massie, our great representative, Thomas Massie, he has just introduced the End the Fed bill.
Yeah, good luck. This is going nowhere.
Title, Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, H.R. 8421. Americans would be better off if the Federal Reserve did not exist. The Fed devalues our currency by monetizing the debt, causing inflation.
He's about to get a real big visit from APAC.
Exactly. People that have done this before have not really survived, so we wish him all the best. Never forget what happened to the last man that tried to take his country off of central banks. They're talking about JFK, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, Hitler.
Talk about Hitler, of course.
Stay safe out there. We know what happened to the last one that took on Israel.
Did you see the recent news about, this is kind of on topic, not really, the recent news about Monica Lewinsky? Apparently.
Oh yeah, but that's the one that they used her to influence Clinton.
I hadn't heard that before. I mean,
I
didn't know that.
Because Netanyahu spoken about it before, and he actually called Clinton that day, or had someone call Clinton that day during the negotiations, the peace negotiations with the Palestinians.
Jesus.
So they've been doing that for a while. Oh, yeah, Woodrow Wilson, because he passed the Federal Reserve Act. So this is a quote from him in his book. He goes, "I am a most unhappy man. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is now controlled by its system of credit. We are no longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men." Woodrow Wilson, 1919. Why'd you sign the Federal Reserve Act then, man? Why? Why'd you do it?
Because he got some sort of sexual favor from someone from Israel, and they filmed him doing it. No, I'm just
But
kidding.
you know, I mean, but that's what created an aristocracy in this country. That's what created the divide, and that's what we're seeing today. You know, APAC and all that all comes from the Federal Reserve. All of that, all the profits from printing our money. You know, which the Constitution said that the Treasury and Congress should do, not a private bank.
Right.
And this is why we are where we are. But it's cool to see. This would never have happened before. Oh, he's doing this. So we covered this last week. APAC paid $300,000 in attack ads against Massey. so he's on the offensive.
Well, he better get on the defensive or get a better bodyguard or something. Run some background checks on his security team.
Oh, just as long as you think, just if you still think Israel doesn't control our government, here is this.
It's true. The House is about to pass a bill that would defund the Defense Department, State Department, and National Security Council unless and until Joe Biden agrees to facilitate the totally uninhibited, conditions-free transfer of U.S. arms to Israel. Simply incredible stuff.
So our Congress has the power to defund anything it wants, right? But they only did that when Joe Biden just withheld, I think, 1% of what they were supposed to get. It was like some munitions, some smart munitions, because he didn't want them to go into Rafah, you know, where
right.
They're all cornered in there, 1.5 million people living in tents. And this is when our GOP gets up and does something about it. They want to defund the entire government because of Israel. The US government.
Do it.
Dude, it's so insane like how they put this stuff on paper.
I know.
No shame. And that's all they talk about is that country.
Well, I guess when you're getting your pockets lined by, someone, you have to back them up or something. I don't know.
Oh, here's this.
Israeli occupied territory. Now, what do you mean
It's
by
Pat Buchanan.
I said on the McLaughlin group in response to a question, Jim, they said, do you think that the Congress of the United States will resist this demand for further aid? I said, through a crack I'd heard. I said, no, the Congress of the United States is Israeli occupied territory. What I bet is the most powerful.
I think this was in the 90s.
So I can't hear a single word of this.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Quiet.
But he basically said that the Congress of the United States is Israeli occupied territory. And I think, it was in the 90s when he said it. Anyway, Pat Buchanan was brilliant. That's pretty much it. We have some comedy stuff that you sent me.
Oh, good. Oh,
Like
this one's good.
Yeah.
It ends a little suddenly, but I think the whole concept is really fun. So basically, I've talked about Dropout the last couple weeks, and this is one of their new shows. And basically, they pretend to be experts talking about. They just make up a subject and they pretend to be experts and talk about it. This is one of the segments.
Okay. Like we just watched that debate in Oxford.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Do not exist. And I know what you're all thinking here, Vic. I'm holding.
She said vegetables do not exist.
Yeah.
Not out there.
A vegetable in my hand. I know that vegetables exist. Really? Name a vegetable.
Pepper.
Celery. Celery is a stalk.
What about pepper?
Pepper is a fruit.
Grape. What?
Grape is a fruit.
All right, well,
apple.
Potato. That is.
What was that?
Potato.
Potato is a tuber.
Broccoli.
Broccoli is a flower.
Spinach.
Spinach is a, say it with me, leaf. Listen, I am first and foremost a person of science. And what does the science tell us? Botanists say that there is no scientific definition of a vegetable, right? Okay, so then we're asking ourselves, Vic, how do I know that word? A great question. It is a culinary term. See, fruits, for example, do have a scientific definition.
Sorry, it's
reverse ratatouille.
Reverse ratatouille.
Oh,
It's a
reverse
little
ratatouille.
Manatouille, someone said.
Vegetables.
Well, and they're right. There's no scientific, because most things are actually fruits. If it has a seed, it's a fruit.
The whole argument is really funny, but yeah, there's 3 quote unquote scientists each episode, and they all pick a topic. The last week's episode, one of the topics was what's the best mythical creature to get high with, and so he went through all these different mythical creatures. Like, it wouldn't be that fun to get high with Nessie because they get the joint all wet. Like aliens can read your mind, so that's kind of a bummer, and
it
ruins the mood. And but Bigfoot, he's super chill. You'd want to blaze with him. It was really funny.
That is funny. This one is really funny too.
Oh yeah, this is great. This
So
poor
funny.
guy.
Yeah.
When
He's
you
having
have a bad day, give up. Go home and sleep. Fuck it. Try again tomorrow. Not every bad day can become a good day. Some days are fucked and cannot be unfucked. When you have a day that is fucked beyond repair, that is the universe speaking to you, sending you a message. Listen to the universe. Go home. Save your energy. Tomorrow is another day. For now, just fucking chill.
Poor guy just can't catch a break with his shoes. Oh my god, it's such a funny video.
And so, it's great advice. Some days are just like that. Don't get upset. Just just tomorrow's another day. Sleep it off.
Yeah.
Don't force it.
Take if you're an adult and you've got a job, don't feel bad to take those sick days, as a mental health day if you need to. Just say, you know what, I need today to just chill. Do it.
Yeah, some days are just off. And just you deserve that. Chill. That's why we have 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So is this CGI? It's hilarious.
I don't know what this is, but it's really funny because I really am annoyed anytime I watch a TikTok video. It does have that stupid voice at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why I sent this to you, because I think this is perfect. The perfect encapsulation of how I feel.
All right, let's take a listen.
Moss marking drum sheet.
What was that?
What was what?
The voice?
It's TikTok's text-to-speech thing. Everyone uses it.
Why?
I think it's good for the algorithm or something, and the sight impaired and stuff.
Moss marking drum sheet.
Perfect.
I don't know. I don't know what I mean. All these videos we've been seeing of robots coming out. I just thought this was really funny.
I love it. I love it.
Table over. The timing of the cut is great too.
Yeah. I love how they have her.
What was what?
The voice?
It's TikTok.
I think it's CGI. It looks like it.
Yeah.
Everyone uses it.
Why?
It's like, someone's there, but it's just a layer, overlay, right?
I think so. Either way, I got a good kick out of that.
Dude, hilarious. All right, that's all we have for this week.
All right, this was a fun episode, cuz.
Yeah, it was fun. Anything from Topher's Corner? You've watched anything new?
Well, of course, we talked the first part of the episode about Twin Peaks.
Oh yes.
Obviously a really great show. It is very 90s though. I told you at the beginning, I couldn't, the first time I tried watching it, I stopped because of all the relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not a huge fan of that, but it's worth to get through just because of all the cool psychological weird stuff that does happen in the show. And it's a lot goofier than I was expecting too. There's just a lot of all the characters are really zany and off the wall.
Right.
And I think one of my favorite characters is the receptionist at the police station.
She's great, dude. She's great in the season. Yeah.
She's amazing. She's so funny. And the character, Cooperdale, Agent Cooperdale, or Dale Cooper, excuse me.
He's the best.
He's a great character.
He is.
And I love
coffee and pie.
And he's always overwhelmingly positive and nice to everyone.
Always.
And he's very spiritual. He pays attention to his dreams and stuff, and all the really cool lynching stuff is I really, really enjoy.
Nice.
I think I mentioned it last weekend, last episode. Under the Banner of Heaven, about the Mormons. Did I talk?
Oh
about
yeah.
Okay,
Kind of. You didn't. Not too much. So wait, is that a documentary?
No, it's not. It's based on a book. It's based on a true story. It's based on a book, a true crime book, but it's made into fiction. But the main facts of the story are there. But it's about the Mormon faith, and the detective is also Mormon, and it's just a look into the psyche of studying the Mormon religion and how wacky it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely interesting. Its founding is very strange. Not Adam Smith, is it? But it's something Smith, right? He's the founder. I mean, Brigham Young was the second in charge, but who was the first guy? Was it John Smith? It's definitely Smith.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm blanking on it. Anyway, but yeah, you can, and you see where the church diverged into the fundamentalists and, the modern church. Very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really riveting show, but of course I've been just Twin Peaks for the last week and a half.
Dude, you're gonna love season 3. It's gonna pay off.
Wait.
It's gonna pay off so much. I mean, some episodes are slow, but still, even the slow ones are it's still just insane.
I can't wait.
Dude, I wish I was watching with you.
Yeah, other than that, I don't really have a whole lot else.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're busy with Twin Peaks. I mean, that's a good thing to get in. I know. I wonder how many of our listeners have watched Twin Peaks, because they bring in a lot of the UFO stuff in it and aliens, but it's not overt, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
And they link it to something, which is really cool too.
Don't spoil any. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to. But the concepts of it are awesome. I've seen attempts of documentaries talking about what they talk about, and I'm not sure if Lynch maybe took from those facts and put it into the show. He might have, maybe not. It talks about JPL and
yeah, he clearly has an interest in not only well, obviously the spiritual, but stuff like the Black Lodge, the White Lodge. I mean, that is deep in the lore.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly.
That's Aleister Crowley shit. I mean, that's old school stuff.
So Aleister Crowley, and who's the guy he worked for from JPL, the American. You have wait a minute, who's JPL founder? It's the guy that's exactly like him.
I'm gonna let you handle this one.
No, but he did magic also with Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, I know. He was also friends with the sci-fi writer who founded
Jack Parsons.
Yes. And the guy who's the Scientology guy?
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. He was looked down upon by Aleister Crowley, but he was in that crew, that psychedelic 60s movement going on. He was a part of it.
Right. So Twin Peaks gets into that in a way that doesn't overtly show them, but there's some link there to all that.
Yeah. First, I'm going to watch the movie, which is a prequel, I guess.
It's a prequel because it's about her, right? There's 2 movies. There's Fire Walk with Me, and there's another one, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I was about to watch Fire Walk with Me. That's the one I'm going to watch.
Very disturbing. Very
awesome.
It's so disturbing.
I love disturbing. Like that. I won't spoil anything, but that last episode of season 2 where Cooper is in that one place. It's so creepy and so cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Then you'll love season 3 because it goes beyond that.
Yes, because the whole time I was like, all right, everyone's cheating on each other in this tiny little town. Everyone's going crazy. I'm like, get to the weird stuff. Get to the weird stuff. And then all of the last episode of season 2 was all the weird stuff. And I was like, yes, it's finally here.
What a tease, huh?
Yeah. And the way it ends, I was like, no way. Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited to continue watching Twin Peaks.
Cool, man. Well, I'm going to ask you about it. So yeah, this was a fun episode. Our usual, we are on all podcasting platforms. We have made sure of it. We're on all video platforms. Well, most of the big ones. You can find us on YouTube at Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, Rumble, UAP Podcast.
And also,
same thing. Yeah.
Hopefully people that if you do listen to the show on Spotify, it will show the video of our podcast on Spotify. So you can just turn on Spotify and turn your phone sideways and watch the podcast there too.
Yeah, exactly. And that way you can see what we're talking about and what we're going through. But yes, we do upload to Spotify as a video, and then it distributes that to the other podcasting platforms as audio. But you can find us anywhere, any podcasting audio and any video platform. Just type in Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, and we'll be right there. We have a support us link at the end of every show. Please go ahead and show us some support. Reach out to us.
And we can use all the help we could get. I mean, we kind of gave a little teaser as to what we're working on last week.
Yeah.
And we probably are going to need some help there eventually.
Eventually, at some point, yes. We are working on a project together. It's going to take us a while. But if we hit any speed bumps, we might have to do some maybe some crowdsourcing. Depending on how intricate it gets.
We'll get as far as we can on our own. Hopefully, we can get all the way through on our own. We'll see.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Exactly. Well, I think what happens is like you get halfway done and you show people, look what we've done. Support us to finish it off, and you guys can be the first ones to like play it or something.
Yeah, you show the vertical slice, if I remember from business school.
Oh, okay, yeah, and we could do it that way. If it gets cost prohibitive, then we might need to.
We'll see. We're not counting any chickens. It really still is very much in the formation process.
Exactly. I'm learning the technical stuff. You're writing. I mean, amazing writing, by the way. I couldn't even imagine. So good, dude. So good. The dialogues are just amazing, and I can see how you've had these things in your mind anyway. and you've been playing games for so long. I'm sure you've formed all these things. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if this, or would it be cool if that? So that's coming out too, which is really cool.
Well,
exciting.
It's very exciting. Hopefully you all enjoyed episode 72 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is I Want to Know Adam. And I am now in 3D. Topher in 3D. Coming this summer.
In 3D, baby. Yeah, that was a great episode. So hit us up on social media, everyone. And we're here every week. So follow us, share it, and we'll see you guys next week.
Drop us a line. See ya.